So I'm going to ask you something which is going to quench my curiosity, because you say that Donald Trump is not as smart as people think he is.
Donald Trump is an extremely smart man. He's extremely savvy. He is a brilliant deal maker. He's a brilliant communicator. But like plenty of other figures that I will be speaking about later on and we'll be discussing later on, he's not as smart as most people think. So, two of his greatest achievements. One is that he is the 45th president of the US, the current president of the US. And the other is his net worth. He proclaims that to be $10 billion. I'm sure he is phenomenally rich, even if that $10 billion figure is not true. If instead of $10 billion, it's even $1 billion. Instead of $1 billion, even if it's $100 million, that is a huge, huge amount of money. So I think objectively one can state that he is extremely rich and financially successful. But if, and we can do this right now, if the viewer can pause the video right now and jot down at least one major failure of Donald Trump. Most people in the world would not be able to tell you even one major failure of Donald Trump because they are too busy looking at only what the media is throwing at them. And they're not really looking at stuff below the surface. So Donald Trump has had massive failures. There is a website called ThoughtCo. That's one of the websites you can go to. There are plenty of other websites. But ThoughtCo is a website which lists at least 6 corporate bankruptcies that Donald Trump has had. And some guys may say, it's fine, you win some, you lose some, but ultimately Donald Trump did come back. Well, the point is, we really don't know how much of luck was responsible for him in bouncing back, and how much his wealthy father, John Trump, was responsible for him bouncing back. So there are plenty of people who have become bankrupt and who never come back. They've been badly affected by it and never rebounded out of a bankruptcy. So if people know this, then I'm sure they will think of Donald Trump as successful, but not as successful as they thought he was, or not as smart as they thought he was. And the point of that is not to criticize Donald Trump. And this is not a platform for that. Donald Trump has his successes, he's had his failures, he has his plus points, he has his negative points. But the point is to really share this idea with the whole world that most people are not as smart as you think they are, and the people who are watching the video, you are not as smart as you think you are. And that's not an opinion.
So if that is the case, what is it that one can do or should do to be smarter than what they think they are?
Yeah, but before that, I just want to say that this series that we're doing, we've done lots of web series together, and I want to keep on reminding the audience that what we're talking about is not some coffee table conversation. It's not just an exchange of opinions. It's an exchange of research. It's an exchange of informed opinions. So when I'm saying you're not as smart as you think you are, there is a lot of research to back that up. You can check out something called the self-serving bias. That's a theory that says that's a research-backed theory which says that you're not as smart as you think you are. It's also called the Lake Wobegon effect. This was called after some American TV series. It's also called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Lots of studies in these researches prove that we tend to overestimate our abilities in terms of capabilities, in terms of skills, in terms of cognitive abilities, and we're not really as smart as we think we are. So the point is not to make fun of anybody or to look down upon anybody. It's a challenge that many people in the planet have. And I am suggesting that the way out to be less stupid or to be smarter is to use thinking tools. Right? That's the fastest way. Just imagine you're working with a guy and you need to do maths with him. You need him to count your money, or you need him to do your taxes, and he's bad at maths. Okay, let's just assume you're stuck in that situation. Now you can send him to a maths class for 6 hours a day for the next 70 years and expect him to be better at maths, or you can just give him a calculator and he's immediately smarter at maths for all practical purposes. So a tool is really, really useful. A tool works very fast, it's handy, it's portable, and that's why mental tools are the best ways to become smarter. Now, plenty of people are used to the concept of physical tools. If there is a building which is 50 floors, nobody is going to attempt to climb it through the stairs. He's going to take an elevator. If somebody needs to pick up something heavy, he's going to use a lever, or he's going to use some machinery to pick that piece up. He's not going to try to pick up, let's say, 1 ton of weight and ruin his back. So we're used to the concept of using tools for physical work. We're used to the concept of using mental tools in a limited way. Let's say we're used to using calculators. We are used to using some apps on the phone, but we need to increase the number of thinking tools, the number of apps, the productive apps, not the unproductive ones, and we need to be comfortable with it. There is a cultural bias against using tools to enhance your mental efficiency. And this is another question which is quite interesting. So maybe you want to pause this video and answer this question. Just think about all the meetings that you attended in your life, and you can answer it too right now. Out of all the meetings that you attended in your life, what percentage of meetings has everybody in that meeting come to the meeting with a pen and paper? Intuitively, what's your guess?
I think if there's a meeting of 20 people, then 5 to 6 people.
Okay, but most people have asked this question too, have said that it's about 5%. That means only for 5% of the meetings that they've attended in their entire lives has everybody who's in that meeting got a pen and paper.
Everybody. Okay.
Everybody. So that just shows you that there's a total lack of brain literacy, and there is a total reluctance to use mental tools. If in these meetings a person is observed jotting down notes, or if there's a person who constantly has a pen and paper with him and he writes down a lot, plenty people will make fun of him. They'll say, hey, what's wrong with you? Can't you remember basic things? Why do you need to write everything down? Are you stupid? And actually, he's not stupid. Actually, he's the smart guy. Because going back to the meeting example, how can people go to a meeting without a pen and paper? They are so brain illiterate that they think that they can not only understand everything in the meeting, but also memorize everything in that meeting. It's almost impossible to do that for most human brains. So there's a cultural bias against using mental tools. But
and especially pen and paper.
Pen and paper is one of the most obvious, one of the most useful mental tools, is not being used enough. It should be used 1000x more times, and I'm surprised why people are not using it, because it's so easy to get a hold of those tools. And this again is a product of research. This is not something that I just thought of by waking up one day and thinking, oh yeah, let's go get some mental tools. There is lots of stuff, but just 2 things I want to mention. There's a fantastic web series on Netflix. It's called The Evolution of Us. And there's a guy called Chris Stringer there, who's a professor, who has mentioned that We have evolved as bipeds. We were quadrupeds. We used to walk on all fours, like plenty of animals do. And we evolved and we started walking on our legs, and our hands got freed up. Now, because our hands got freed up, we were able to do lots of things, and we were able to evolve as a species. We were able to achieve a lot as a species.
It basically made us more dexterous.
Yes, we were able to make tools and use tools. Now, those are physical tools, but then the analogy extends to mental tools as well. So, that's just one source of the importance of tools. And the other one, a very, very compelling one, is there's an intelligence researcher called James Flynn. He's got lots of stuff out there on the web. He's got lots of books. He's got a TEDx talk, who has posited that every generation, without fail, since the first Homo sapiens walked on the planet, every generation has been smarter than the previous generation. We are definitely smarter than our ancestors who existed 100 years ago in terms of the average IQ of the planet. The average IQ of the planet today is more than the average IQ of the planet 100 years ago. And how do you explain it? It's by mental tools, because we have lots of tools today which help us think faster and literally make us more intelligent than people who existed 100 years ago had. So let's say a tool like calculus, a tool like Gaussian proportion, a tool like percentages. You have all these new concepts, and you use those concepts, and you're able to do reasoning faster, thinking faster, making better decisions, and ultimately a higher IQ. So that's how absolutely critical tools are. So the overall message is you got to keep on being aware that your brain is a very limited organ. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You need as much help as possible. And one of the easiest way to perform better is to use thinking tools. Mind Maps is an excellent thinking tool, but I'm not a salesman for mind maps. I'm a salesman for brain literacy. So if you find a better tool, go ahead and use it, but keep this concept in mind. And I want to close by a slogan, and that slogan is, don't join the fools, use mental tools.